A luminous, rainbow-patterned wing flashes past, deflecting an unseen force with an ethereal glow. The blonde warrior braces herself, her sword meeting a colossal energy strike as a precious crystal shatters beside her. With fierce determination etched on her face, she readies her glowing blade for the next onslaught. Suddenly, her eyes widen in alarm as a new, unseen threat emerges from below. Before an altar holding a radiant red gem, the young woman stands defiantly against a monstrous, winged insectoid creature. It becomes clear she faces not one, but a formidable insectoid beast, their menacing forms closing in. Her sword clashes against a vicious claw attack from the larger monster, the impact sending shudders through her stance. Despite her skill, a swift, dark appendage slashes across her midsection, drawing first blood. Agony and shock contort her features as blood streams from her wounds, a cry escaping her lips. Overwhelmed and grievously injured, she collapses to the ground. The victorious monster is looming above, lying defeated in a pool of her own blood. She whispers a final apology, "Sorry, big brother." A poignant memory surfaces of a younger man with kind, red eyes assuring her, "Nana, I'll be waiting." The victorious monster looms closer, its terrifying, circular maw wide open, seemingly ready to strike. Drifting into unconsciousness beneath the vast, cloudy sky, she thinks with despair, "I don't think I can keep that promise." Suddenly, the perspective shifts to an expansive, sun-drenched modern city skyline. Within this urban landscape, the silver-haired young man from the memory, Ru, strolls along a busy street, groceries in hand. From behind, a familiar voice calls out his name, Ru. He turns to see three acquaintances who remark on his shopping, asking if Nana is due back from her ranked dungeon expedition. One of them, identified as Kujishimura, AD rank explorer, also inquires if Ru is dungeon bound and comments on his seemingly recovered health. Waving farewell, Kuji mentions dropping by for a meal, to which Ru responds with a gentle smile, "Sure, I'll be waiting." As Ru walks away, one acquaintance grumbles that Ru feasts like a king while they risk their lives, while the other mentions his sister is in the 7 Stars, a top organization. The first man retorts that one shouldn't be stupid, as Ru was the one who saved Nana when she was starving in the slums, though his companion still complains about their own hunger. A flashback reveals a young Ru offering bread to a destitute young Nana, having survived his own childhood by scavenging. The man with the shovel concedes, "Fine, I get it," but still insists Ru is ultimately a freeloader living off his sister, permitting them a little complaint. Overlooking the city, a stark thought appears: if Nana dies, it's back to poverty for him anyway. Arriving in his kitchen, Ru places the grocery bags on the table and lets out he notes the time, realizing he went far for fresh ingredients and is now running late, needing to hurry and prepare dinner. With focused precision, his knife glides through an eggplant on the cutting board. Shortly after, he is skillfully tossing ingredients in a pan over a hot stove. Wearing an apron and a proud smile, Ru announces, "Done." As he presents a lavishly prepared meal, Ru checks his phone with a hint of concern, noting, "But she's late." His phone's wallpaper, a cheerful photo of him and Nana, displays the time 19:02, making him wonder, overtime again? Later that night, Ru has fallen asleep at the kitchen table, the elaborate dinner untouched. He is startled awake by his phone ringing at 10:03 p.m., an unknown caller on the line, and he answers, "Hello." The voice on the other end introduces themselves as the Explorers Association, inquiring if he's related to Nana, the shining light of the 7 Stars, to which he affirms, "That's right." His world shatters as the caller informs him, "I'm sorry to inform you, but she was killed in an S-rank dungeon by a monster. Her death was confirmed 2 hours ago," prompting his horrified cry, "What?" No reeling from the news, Ru jolts upright, sending his plate of food tumbling. The meal crashes to the floor as the association member explains they only wanted to inform family, stressing the need for confidentiality to avoid trouble if news of a 7 Stars death spreads. Still in shock, he hears the caller mention compensation and benefits before the line disconnects with a beep. Ru slumps back into his chair, the spilled food in a fallen dustpan nearby, as he numbly whispers, "Nana." His mind struggles to process the devastating words, "She's dead." A memory surfaces of a small, tattered Nana asking shyly, "Can I start calling you big brother now?" To which he had replied, "Of course." Another cherished recollection shows a joyful Nana in a sunlit field, her voice echoing, "Big brother." He remembers her youthful fierceness asking, "Are you hurt again?" After defending him, declaring, "They said bad things about you." A more recent memory plays, Nana, now a confident warrior, promising with a smile, "I'll be back soon, big brother." He recalls her playful affection in the kitchen, her request, "So make something nice and wait for me," and his gentle caution, "Got it, so be careful." Her reassuring words before her last mission echo, "It's just in a ranked dungeon this time, so, don't worry." A sudden, chilling realization strikes Ru as he stands by the door. Nana mentioned in a ranked dungeon, but the association reported in S rank, and the association typically uses a special program for S rank incidents. Gazing at a framed photo of them, he considers that such investigations are especially thorough for a 7 star. Yet this time they bypass procedure to contact him directly. An image of a glowing crystal within a menacing dungeon fills his thoughts as he questions how they could know so quickly. So they figured out what happened inside an S-class dungeon in just 2 hours, or maybe. His red eyes narrowed with a daunting, grim understanding. They already knew. The framed photograph of him and Nana, a cherished memory, seemed to vibrate with the weight of his realization. 5 days later, the imposing skyscraper of the Explorers Association loomed under a bright sky. Inside a spacious, sunlit office, a man behind a desk inquired, "Mr. Ru, what brings you here today?" Rakuto Haotu, head of the Meiko branch, continued, if this is about shining light, we have already spoken on the phone. Ru, his gaze intense, firmly declared, I want to register as an explorer. A moment of silence passed as Mr. Haotu processed the unexpected request. Visibly troubled, Rakuto Haotu raised a hand to his forehead, a bead of sweat forming. The association head then explained, Mr. Ru, becoming an explorer means walking side by side with death, and you don't even have any abilities. You're not qualified, despite the officials' attempt to dissuade him by mentioning Nana's presumed wishes. For his peaceful life, Ru stood resolute, aware that association rules permitted a relative to become an explorer regardless of ability. Ru, with unwavering red eyes, reiterated, so I can become an explorer. As Mr. Haotu listened with a conflicted expression, reluctantly, Mr. Haotu conceded, fine, and then instructed someone off panel, take him. Standing beside a female association employee, Ru offered a quiet, thank you, while she responded, yes sir. From his desk, Mr. Haotu added, if anything comes up, you are always welcome here. Ru cast a determined glance back as he prepared to depart the office. He then turned and walked away, his silver hair catching the light. The frosted glass door slid shut, marking his exit. Rakuto Haotu remained in his office, his expression thoughtful and somber. At a different counter, an association staff member handed Ru his ID, saying, here's your ID, to which he replied thanks. The newly issued ID card showed his details, Ru, male, age, 21, ability, none, rank, E. Holding his new ID, Ru learns that the person with Nana, Yoram, used a special item to escape and immediately started preparing a rescue team. Ru, agitated, exclaims that Nana said it was in a ranked dungeon, while Mr. Haotu explains they used a special item to check the situation inside, but sadly, Mr. Haotu counters that, from what he heard, they were sent to a sealed S-ranked dungeon, suggesting Nana might have lied so Ru wouldn't worry. As Ru processes this, his shadowy figure stands before the unseen Mr. Haotu, while sparkles seem to fade into darkness below. Ru clutches his chest, a thought bubble revealing his conviction, this wasn't some noble sacrifice. He pulls his hood over his head, his expression grim and shadowed by his silver hair. Walking away down a sunlit street, past other pedestrians, Ru internally vows, I'll get to the truth no matter what. The scene shifts to the exterior of a D-ranked dungeon, where a group of explorers faces a large, glowing blue portal. A team of 4 diverse explorers stands ready, looking determined as they prepare to enter the dungeon. Inside a waiting area, a blonde man in blue overalls boasts about wanting to be a frontline explorer, while another man in glasses retorts that he's the one who freaks out at monster corpses. As Ru observes from the background, Ru, preferring the safety of the rear guard where you won't have to fight monsters, states, let's go. The group of 4 explorers with Ru trailing behind advances towards the luminous, swirling blue dungeon portal. Inside the dimly lit dungeon, one explorer remarks on the 30 years since dungeons emerged, questioning another's decade-long experience and continued unease, who retorts if anyone truly acclimates. A nervous team member in a cap inquires if they should wait there, prompting a blonde colleague to identify him as a new guy. The newcomer confirms his recent assignment to the rear guard and his uncertainty, while the blonde man explains they wait until the main team defeats the guardian. Another explorer with glasses reassures the newcomer about the blonde man's demeanor, suggesting he'll understand their role better once inside. The blonde explorer then directs his attention to Ru, who sits apart, asking if he too is a rookie given his unfamiliar face. Ru, his expression unreadable, simply affirms yeah, eliciting a small, surprised reaction from the blonde man. The explorer with glasses begins to offer Ru advice for his first time, urging him to stick close and follow their lead, but is abruptly interrupted by a terrifying roar. Ru and the other 3 explorers are visibly startled by the sudden, loud sound, their attention snapping towards its source. A terrifying roar echoes from deeper within the dungeon, the sound waves visibly shaking the air as the 4 explorers look on in shock. The nervous rookie in the cap stammers, what do we do? Are we going in? While the blonde explorer angrily retorts they'll just get eaten and questions his lack of training. As the man with glasses comments on their poor instruction, the rookie, looking downcast, explains that something happened at the association this year, so there was no training. The blonde explorer and the one with glasses look on with expressions of concern and slight exasperation. Ru, standing apart with his arms crossed, internally remarks that they must be short-staffed and muses that he thought he missed training due to his unconventional entry, but it turns out there wasn't any to begin with, calling them idiots. An explanation appears, stating that explorers normally refers to combat specialists, with only daring and above, having the right to fight. As a red-haired warrior is shown battling a monster, the scene then clarifies that support explorers, like the rookie with the pickaxe and first aid kit, are made up of civilians and E-rank explorers. The man with glasses cheerfully states they're basically just part-timers. While the blonde explorer looks on with a stoic expression, suddenly a voice from further in the cave calls out, "Hey, you guys come here," catching the blonde explorer's attention. The blonde explorer turns to the others, including Ru, and says, "Let's go, we've got work." As the group prepares to move, the support team advances into a cavern, discovering the main party gathered around a massive, defeated beast, with an exclamation mark indicating surprise. A closer perspective reveals a grim scene. One explorer lies dead in a pool of blood, another is grievously injured, and the survivors appear shaken as the rookie in the cap looks on aghast. Ru and his fellow support members, including the rookie who covers his mouth, stand shocked by the bloody aftermath before them. Unable to stomach the sight, the rookie turns away and vomits, drawing an irritated glance from one of the combat explorers. The spiky-haired combat explorer, radiating anger, turns and furiously yells, "You bastard!" at the rookie. Suddenly a black-gloved hand firmly seizes the enraged explorer's arm, restraining him. A female explorer with light blue hair holds back her furious comrade, calmly stating he's new. "Calm down." The male combatant, still fuming, then addresses the more experienced support members, asserting, "You guys have experience, right? So please keep it together." Taking charge, the blonde support leader sharply strikes the rookie on the head with his pickaxe, ordering, "Quit spacing out and get to work," as the combat team begins to move their fallen. While the rookie protests being yelled at, Rue, pickaxe in hand, internally condemns the rookie's reaction as disrespectful to the deceased and their grieving companions. Rue, examining a glowing crystal, tells the off-screen rookie that the combatants knew it was his first time seeing such a scene, which is why they didn't punish him. As Rue carries a box of mind crystals, the rookie in the background, still working, questions how Rue knows all this despite also being new, to which Rue vaguely replies, "I heard it from someone." A pensive close-up shows Rue's determined profile as he continues his work in the dungeon. Transitioning to a flashback, Nana, wearing her cat-eared hood, sits at their kitchen table while Rue cleans, informing him, "Big bro, a rookie died yesterday." Nana explains that death occurred during training because the rookie overestimated himself and got ambushed. Then another support rookie vomited, leading a friend of the deceased combatant to kill the support rookie in anger. With a somber expression, Nana confesses, "I tried to stop him, but it was too late." Rue, looking back, remarks that killing someone over that seems excessive, though he admits not knowing all the details. While a small icon of Nana notes that combat explorers often look down on support. Returning to the present dungeon scene, the blonde support leader instructs the bespectacled rookie to stop dawdling and help with the monster corpse cleanup, as Rue diligently works nearby. The blonde leader, gesturing towards Rue, comments to his colleague that Rue was so composed he initially thought he was an experienced explorer pretending to be a rookie, prompting an internal grumble from Rue about the leader being a jerk. Addressing the support team, the blonde leader points towards a glowing red crystal on a distant pedestal, explaining, "Listen up, to clear a dungeon, you gotta smash the core. It's that thing over there." He elaborates that to break the core, they must first defeat the Guardian, as a red-caped warrior is shown striking down a beast. The explanation continues that while any monster's body lasts only 30 minutes after death, for Guardians the countdown begins after the core is destroyed, focusing on a large red crystal. The blonde leader then asserts that monster corpses are worthless, prompting the rookie to ask, "Why is that?" The explorer with glasses clarifies it's because you can't bring them out of the dungeon, making them obviously worthless. He further explains that when you defeat a Guardian, there's a chance to get weapons or gear, and if you're lucky, maybe even a skill book. Additionally, rare items sometimes drop to illustrated by a glowing question mark silhouette. The blonde leader advises that if they care about loot, they should ask the combat guys, then states the dungeon closes 30 minutes after the core's destruction and urges them to move. Near the glowing blue dungeon exit, the support team is shown, with some members covering what appears to be the deceased explorer's body. The bespectacled explorer informs the team they will deliver the loot, and that the others can go home, adding their pay will be deposited within 3 days. Turning to Rue, the bespectacled man cautions that just because support doesn't fight doesn't mean it's safe, advising him to train if he wants to live longer. As they stand near the dungeon's icy exit, the rookie complains about underestimating the job's difficulty. While Rue is told that running fast means longer survival, watching his colleagues carry away their fallen comrade, Rue clenches his fist, internally resolving, "I've got to get stronger." 2 days later, outside the association building, an assessment of the dungeon experience is shared, weird and dangerous. Mr. How-To, walking ahead of Rue, cheerfully inquires, "How, oh, didn't the treasure tempt you?" Rue, his expression grim under his hood, responds firmly, "Nothing worth risking my life for." The association head, Mr. How-To, pauses, a thoughtful silence hanging between them. Glancing towards the training room, Mr. How-To observes, "You and your sister really are alike." They stand together in a vast, sunlit, and otherwise empty training hall. Mr. How-To then turns to Rue, admitting, "Rue, I find it so strange." He continues, looking directly at Rue, with shining lights legacy. "You could live comfortably forever, so what's your goal?" Rue, his expression resolute under his hood, states he can't just slack off living on Nana's inheritance and acknowledges the rumors about him mooching off his sister. Mr. How-To responds that he's sick of people whispering behind his back and notes that, while Shining Light's death has been kept secret, people will eventually realize Rue is the sole heir, commending Rue's desire to get stronger on his own. Mr. How-To mentions there's someone he wants Rue to meet. A booming voice calls out, "Hey old man," as a very muscular, white-haired older man appears, arms crossed. This man, identified as Charlie List, a 37-year-old instructor at the Meku City Explorer Association, asks Mr. How-To what he was brought out for. Mr. How-To introduces Charlie as the mentor he found for Rue, describing him as rough-looking but the strongest in their branch, while Rue internally remarks on his impressive physique, and Charlie dismisses the praise, calling himself just a thug. Charlie List then grabs Rue's chin, looking him over and questioning if Mr. How-To is making him babysit this brat. Mr. How-To calmly informs Charlie that Rue is Shining Light's brother, causing Charlie's eyes to widen slightly in surprise. After a moment, Charlie sighs and concedes, alright, I get it, but firmly adds, but this is the last time. Charlie then tells Mr. How-To to get lost because watching him makes him sick and instructs Roo, follow me kid, as Mr. How-To watches with a smile saying, I'm counting on you. Roo introduces himself as Roo, but Charlie cuts him off, saying, I know, don't interrupt me brat. Charlie then accuses Roo, so you used the Elite Explorer Air privilege to get here, to which Roo defiantly asks, got a problem with that? The instructor questions Roo, you sure you weren't tricked? Do you even know what that privilege means? With a somber expression, Roo simply replies, I know. An explanation clarifies that explorers are ranked from S to E in 6 tiers, but those surpassing even S ranks are known as the 7 stars, with Nana prominently displayed among them. It's further detailed that elite explorers receive top-level benefits, and even in death, their families inherit some of these, but only if the explorer designated an heir while alive. The text elaborates that while inheritance usually involves assets, one rare and often overlooked path allows the heir to become an explorer without testant, crucially, offers a chance to grow stronger through selected association training. Charlie, arms crossed, tells Roo if you understand, then make your choice, prompting Roo to ask, choose what? After a tense pause marked by exclamation points, Charlie sighs and emphasizes, listen up, this is important. Wiping sweat from his brow, Charlie explains to Roo, there are 3 types of training, that's attack, defense, and speed. Charlie states, you probably can't picture it from words alone, so I'll show you. As a training dummy activates, with a powerful kick, Charlie shatters the training dummy, explaining, this is attack training. Charlie then stands firm as the training dummies strike him simultaneously, declaring, this is defense training. He then swiftly dodges a blue energy beam from another dummy, adding, and this is speed training. Surrounded by the remnants of the destroyed training dummies, Charlie asks Roo, which one will you want to be? Roo stands silently amidst the debris, looking up at the imposing figure of Charlie. With a determined gaze, Roo answers firmly, defense. The scene transitions to a sunny park, with a close-up on Roo's foot in a running shoe taking a step. Roo is then seen jogging through the park, his expression focused. Later, Roo is shown bent over, hands on his knees, panning heavily from exertion during his run. Roo, sweating profusely and looking nauseous, internally questions if this kind of training will actually be effective. Feeling like he's about to vomit, Charlie, with a supportive hand on Roo's shoulder, commends his choice, stating, it's defense. Not bad, you're pretty smart, as Roo appears bewildered. The instructor elaborates that his other students typically chose offense for self-protection or speed for versatility in running or attacking, while Roo internally marvels at Charlie's formidable power. Turning his head, Charlie delivers a stark pronouncement, that's why they all died. Roo's eyes widen slightly, clearly taken aback by the instructor's grim revelation. A moment of silence pauses as Charlie stands with his arms crossed, observing Roo who stands a short distance away. Roo tentatively begins to speak. And Charlie instructs him that he can decide his own training regimen, emphasizing the need to build up his physique. Confused, Roo asks, aren't you going to train me? To which Charlie, with a grin, retorts that it's pointless if he gets exhausted from a brief run. Suddenly, Charlie delivers a powerful blow to Roo's midsection, shouting, train harder. Which causes Roo to double over and cough up blood. Roo, still reeling from the impact and clutching his stomach, manages to affirm, got it. Charlie holds up 2 fingers, informing Roo, you have 2 months. If you don't reach a minimum level by then, the instructor sternly adds, I don't care if you're shining lights brother. I won't look after you. As Roo listens with a downcast expression. Later, Roo is seen panning heavily during a run in the park, sweat dripping from his face. A silent ellipsis in a speech bubble. With renewed resolve, he thinks, guess I'll run a bit more. And continues his jog under a bright, sunny sky. A calendar page flips from July 20th, showing Roo doing sit-ups in his apartment to July 31st, indicating the passage of time and his consistent training. Late at night, Roo sits at his computer, illuminated by the screen researching, with a dumbbell on the floor, and a close-up showing his hand clicking the mouse. The screen displays a dungeon monster investigation record featuring a fearsome, winged insectoid creature named Dagumi, a rank S mythic beast with wind element, water magic, resistances and extremely high physical defense. Staring at the monster's profile, Roo muses, mythic beasts are this strong, no wonder Nana. This is why you were so stubborn about keeping me away from being an explorer and from dungeons, isn't it? A hand is shown receiving a bag of groceries, with a cheerful voice saying, thanks for your business. 2 men in work attire observe Roo from a distance, one remarking, meet again, while the other adds, that's not all. He's been going to the rest station every day. It's a place for rich folks, where they can get injuries treated and even recover from fatigue. One of them grumbles that Roo has no abilities yet lives comfortably. As August 10th arrives on the calendar, Roo is seen diligently running up steps in the park. By August 15th, he's shown doing pull-ups with a small imagined Nana cheering him on. Calendar pages for August 19th, 21, and 28 flutter past marking his continued efforts. More calendar pages fall, and a caption indicates that 1 month has passed. After a month, Roo, now significantly more toned and sweating, performs sit-ups, showcasing his progress. Kuji Shimura appears at Roo's door, looking astonished and asking, Mr. Kuji, what's wrong? As he stammers Roo's name, wiping sweat from his brow with a towel, Roo invites him in, saying, come in, inside. As Roo pours tea, Kuji remarks, looks like you've been training lately for a second. I didn't recognize you. Haha. A close-up reveals Kuji's surprised yet appreciative smile at Ru's transformation. Kuji then inquires, "Hey, Ru, when is Nana coming back?" Ru, while pouring, explains that according to the association, she's on an overseas mission and won't return for some time, to which Kuji thoughtfully responds, "I see." Kuji reminds Ru of their long acquaintance, encouraging him to speak his mind, and then points out that Ru's recent increased spending has been attracting attention. He elaborates on the widespread poverty, noting many can't afford even basic necessities, and mentions hearing about Ru's daily visits to the rest station. Ru questions if Kuji is concerned about him being robbed, leading Kuji to assert that such a thing wouldn't happen as long as Nana is present. However, Kuji then reveals he heard something bad happen to one of the 7 stars, causing Ru's eyes to glow red with sudden intensity. When Ru asks about the source of this information, Kuji clarifies he overheard some rank explorers discussing it, adding that while the association wants silence, others are investigating. Looking towards a framed photo of Nana and Ru, Kuji earnestly asks, "Tell me honestly, how is Nana?" Ru, with a composed expression, counters by asking if he would be able to live as he does if something had truly happened to Nana. An overhead view captures the 2 men sitting at the table, a grocery bag between them, a palpable silence filling the room. Kuji acknowledges their deep bond, apologizing for his strange question. While Ru expresses gratitude for his concern, as Kuji prepares to leave, Ru invites him to stay for lunch, but Kuji declines, citing other commitments. After Kuji departs, Ru stands alone by the door, the sound of it closing echoing softly. Ru then checks his phone, scrolling through a long list of missed calls from a contact labeled Backer 3GU Idiot No 3. He selects the contact Idiot No 3 and initiates a call. On the phone, Ru, with a serious expression, states there's something he wants to ask, as the person on the other end remarks on Ru finally calling back after 45 missed attempts. The mysterious voice on the line immediately asks if Ru's inquiry concerns the 7 stars, prompting Ru to intensely question what they know. The contact, depicted as a chibi figure, abruptly ends the call with a beep, suggesting Ru asks the association instead. Ru, annoyed at being hung up on, listens as the voice on the line threatens to involve his older sister if he asks anything stranger, before revealing that one of the 7 stars has died, though their identity is unknown, and the association is trying to suppress this, as expected. The person on the phone, now seen from behind looking out a window at the city, explains that even an injury to one of the 7 stars would cause a national stir, and questions why Ru is inquiring with them instead of his own sister. The person on the phone, seen from the back with a towel around their waist, asks if something is wrong with Nana. Ru, flustered, reacts with alarm to the threat of his sister being contacted. He comically expresses deep regret for ever considering setting up the caller with his older sister. Ru, now dressed and wearing a cap, gazes at the photo of him and Nana, pondering that someone is trying to investigate her death and questioning if it's a power struggle, or directly connected to her demise. His hand gently touches the glass over Nana's smiling face in the cherished photograph. Sometime later, Ru sits patiently in the vast, sun-drenched training hall, with Charlie visible in the distant doorway. Charlie approaches with knowing a confident smirk on his face. Ru, now noticeably more muscular, stands and inquires if he posses, while Charlie comments on his significant transformation over 2 months, stating he hardly recognizes him. After a moment of scrutiny, Charlie confirms Ru barely posses and declares they should get straight to the point. Charlie then informs Ru there's good news and bad news, the good news being only one type of training is available to him for now, leading Ru to ask, "What's the bad news?" Charlie, with a confident grin, reveals, "Your training consists of." He then unleashes a powerful blow, exclaiming, being beaten up as Ru is struck hard. Ru is sent flying across the training room, crashing to the floor. Standing over the winded Ru, Charlie instructs, "Remember this power. Once you can withstand this, you'll pass the training." Ru, still recovering, asks, "That's it?" To which Charlie explains the purpose is to build resistance, ensuring survival no matter how many hits he takes. Charlie gravely states, "It's the same inside and outside of dungeons. The ones who stay alive are the strongest." With a determined look, Ru internalizes the lesson. You can't be called strong if you're dead. Charlie, yawning, directs Ru to spar with an activated training dummy, instructing, "First, spar with this guy. I'm going to sleep, you can dodge, but don't fight back." Ru immediately begins dodging the training dummy's swift, powerful strikes, kneeling after evading another attack. Ru wonders with frustration, "Damn it, am I just going to keep running away?" Ru, with a determined glint in his red eyes, internally acknowledges that retaliating would negate the training's objective. The training dummy delivers a swift punch, connecting with Ru's face. As Charlie sleeps soundly in the background, Ru recalls his instructor's earlier explanation that the purpose of this training is to build resistance. With fierce resolve, Ru decides he can't just keep dodging, he has to endure all the attacks. From an elevated position, Charlie observes Ru engaged in a grueling sparring session with the training dummy. Charlie, with knowing smirk, muses that Ru is finally grasping that this method trains both spirit and body, which is why defense training is often underestimated. While continuing to face the dummy's onslaught, Ru understands that true defense transcends mere physical strength. Charlie, relaxing with his hands behind his head, is interrupted by his phone ringing, the caller ID showing Dharma Hall, and a playful, musical alert. Answering the call with irritation, Charlie complains about his lack of sleep due to excessive errands. The voice on the line delivers startling news. An S-rank dungeon has manifested in Mazuyasu village, causing Charlie's eye to widen in alarm. The voice on the phone explained that most of Mazuyasu village had already been engulfed by the S-rank dungeon's swirling blue vortex. Back in his office, Mr. How-To thoughtfully reviewed a document related to the unfolding crisis. Charlie, having ended the call, informed Mr. How-To that Kazami from the 7 stars had given them the go-ahead. Mr. How-To remarked on Charlie's persuasive abilities, to which Charlie lamented it would have been simpler with Shining Light's help. Resigned, Charlie declared they couldn't dwell on it and needed to address the significant problem swiftly. He then elaborated on the dire situation, stating it's unheard of for an S-class dungeon to expand internationally, and that after 2 weeks of desperate containment efforts, there had been no news for a week. Mr. How-To, with a grave expression, inquired about the expected time frame for the situation to escalate. A report on his desk, Mazuyasu Village, S-class dungeon investigation report number 01, indicated a critical point after 45 days. Charlie, noticing How-To's stern look, stated he also wanted to resolve things quickly, but How-To pointed out that one of Kazami's key members was injured, requiring at least a month to recover, and 7 stars members are irreplaceable. Furthermore, Charlie added that there seemed to be an internal conflict within the Kazami family, with the younger members having vanished, expressing sympathy for Kazami's need to find his siblings. 45 days later, the S-rank dungeon's unstable blue energy vortex continued to crackle ominously. A team of explorers, with Rue among them, cautiously navigated a dark, narrow passage within the dungeon. Rue, now exuding a subtle blue aura, stood with a resolute expression, his training evident. A nervous young explorer in a distinct uniform urged Rue, "Hurry, the boss is almost here." While Rue remained stoic, the party halted as they perceived a massive, shadowy figure lurking deeper within the cavern ahead. The formidable area boss, a large, horned, dark-furred beast with glowing red eyes, revealed itself. With a rallying cry to prepare for battle, the combat-focused explorers charged towards the monstrous opponent. The beast unleashed a powerful surge of crackling energy as the warriors engaged it from multiple angles, observing the intense fight. The young explorer noted the boss's strength and the leader's minimal scouting party, wistfully wishing he could join the fray. While Rue watched impassively, one of the frontline explorers, wielding a large axe, braced himself for a powerful downward swing. The axe-wielding explorer leaps high, bringing his weapon down on the beast with immense force, creating a shockwave. Simultaneously, another combatant plunges a sword deep into the monster's back, drawing a significant amount of blood. With the beast defeated, the bald, axe-wielding leader smirks confidently and announces to his team, "It's over, let's head back." The scene focuses on the explorers' boots as they begin to move, dust motes swirling around their feet. Rue, positioned between 2 other support members, observes the departing combat team with a serious and watchful gaze. A close-up on Rue's face highlights his intense red eyes as he internally notes, something's weird about them. They're too fast. The nervous young explorer from before turns to Rue, asking if he knows something, to which Rue responds that their attack speed is unusually fast, and the low number of monsters is concerning, urging caution. The young explorer's hand gently clasped Rue's shoulder, a subtle gesture of reassurance or perhaps something else. With a seemingly friendly smile, the young explorer tells Rue, "We'll cover you from behind. You go on ahead," his eyes shadowed. Rue, his red eyes glinting with understanding, looks back over his shoulder and affirms, "Got it." As a faint blue aura surrounds him, realizing they are encircled, Rue internally notes, "We're surrounded." While the young explorer beside him wonders, what are they planning to do? From a dark passage, a peculiar, small creature with a cake-like hat and a card-shaped body emerges, marked by an exclamation point of surprise. The entity grows larger, revealing itself as a king of spades playing card with a spinning wheel of question marks on its torso, radiating an ominous glow. To combat explorers, including the bald leader, share sinister smirks, one remarking, "How, it's out," and his companion adding, "Lucky." The previously friendly young explorer, now terrified and on the ground, stammers, "What is that?" as another combatant casually inquires that. Desperately, the frightened young explorer pleads his usefulness, claiming knowledge of the enemy's traits to aid exploration, while a combatant points, declaring it an invisible monster and their intent to use sacrifices. Rue's red eyes narrow with suspicion as he internally questions if encountering an invisible monster was the true purpose for bringing them here. A flashback depicts Nana weary, collapsing and stating, "I'm tired today. We came across an invisible monster." Continuing the memory, Rue, holding drinks, asks Nana, "What's that?" To which she, resting on the couch, replies, "It's a really annoying monster that forces people to vote for sacrifices." Nana further explains in the flashback that survival is like roulette based on spaces, and the enemy's invisible till you make a choice, so it's called an invisible monster. As images of the card creature and clock appear, Rue, still in the flashback, inquires if the monster plays with people and if there's a countdown, to which Nana replies that everyone who's seen it is dead. Nana elaborates that the monster makes people kill each other, adding grimly while holding her drink that some people actually want that. Rue then asks if this particular monster drops good items. As Nana takes a sip from her glass, her questions what happens if you're picked as the sacrifice. Nana lowers her glass, her expression serious and thoughtful, as she considers his question. Returning to the present, the King of Spades monster displays a flaming 60-second countdown on its head, with text indicating you need to kill it. The card monster then projects holographic images of 8 explorers, including Rue and the young man. Before them, a gloved hand presumably belonging to one of the combat explorers, decisively selects Rue's holographic image from the displayed options. 2 of the combat explorers smirk, holding holographic projections of Rue and the terrified young explorer, one remarking they can use the trash's ability and deciding to go with these 2. Rue and the young explorer stand trapped as glowing blue energy pillars are up from the ground around them, summoned by the card monster, while the other explorers watch. The card monster emits a pained cry, its form flickering as if damaged from an unseen attack. Rue, sword in hand, tells the kneeling young explorer, "This is impossible," as the latter despairs. "There's no way we'll win." With glowing red eyes, returns to the young man and sternly inquires, "Do you want to die?" The young explorer, utterly dejected, laments, "This boss is 3 to 5 times stronger than the Guardian. We can't win." Suddenly, the young explorer lunges, pushing Rue aside as both begin to fall. The card monster strikes, sending the young explorer tumbling violently through the air while Rue is already down. Rue, coughing on the ground, looks over as the injured young explorer weakly says, "You." Gripping his glowing red sword, Rue fiercely proclaims, "If you want to be a sacrifice, do it on your own. I won't give up, no matter who my opponent is." He then launches himself upwards, sword poised to strike the menacing card creature. The perspective shifts dramatically to an aerial view of Mazuyasu village, consumed by a colossal, swirling red and purple energy vortex. Beneath the swirling crimson abyss of the dungeon, Charlie stands with arms crossed, turning to face an approaching group. Kazami-shun of the 7 stars, known as Tenkan, appears with his somber-looking companions, his expression serious, and his axe resting on his shoulder. As Kazami presents a broken, demonic-looking weapon, he informs the surprised Charlie, "Kazami, this is, Tsuyoshi was sacrificed." Kazami, looking regretful, explains to Charlie that he wasn't strong enough, and when asked what happened, reveals it was an invisible monster, and Tsuyoshi chose to stay back because they refused to choose a sacrifice. Charlie, with a bead of sweat on his temple, processes this grim information, uttering a simple, "I see." Seeking clarification, Charlie asks about Tsuyoshi and the book, to which Kazami replies he destroyed it as the safest course of running a hand through his hair in exasperation. Charlie mutters to himself, "Honestly, why do I always get stuck confirming these things?" Lighting a cigarette, Charlie states with conviction, "I need to check the process, no matter who does it. Please understand, the child of luck is humanity's biggest threat." As the cigarette ignites with a small flame, a text bubble reveals, "The precious child of luck used the lives of 4 S-class and 17 A-class to become a powerful killer." With a determined glint in his eye, Charlie thinks, Tsuyoshi is a strong kid. If he becomes the child of luck, I'll have no choice but to take the life of the 7-star. One of Kazami's subordinates approaches Charlie, stating, "Captain, it's time," and advises telling the chief that the highest rank in the dungeon might not be S-class. Kazami, looking serious, reveals, "I got this letter," and continues it was written at. Charlie reacts with stunned disbelief as Kazami informs him, Shining Light has been revived. Back in the dungeon, Rue fiercely deflects multiple sharp projectiles from the card monster while the young explorer looks on. The young explorer is struck across the chest by one of the card monster's attacks, its sharp teeth bared. A close-up shows Rue's intense red eye, a bead of sweat trickling down as he utters a pain cry. Rue slides across the dungeon floor, his sword ready, as he regains his footing. The King of Spades monster unleashes a barrage of red energy tendrils towards Rue. Rue is thrown back by the force of the monster's powerful red energy blast. As Rue braces himself on the ground, he internally acknowledges he's right, its power is incredible, but if this thing is 5 times stronger than the Guardian, I'd be dead by now. Rue, bracing himself with his sword, comes to a realization. In other words, the card monster's menacing grin fills the frame as Rue concludes, "It's toying with me." He leaps aside, narrowly avoiding a sweeping red limb, noting its ability to extend easily. Making ranged combat disadvantageous, another limb strikes near the monster's unmoving card-shaped body, highlighting that it hasn't shifted its main form at all. While evading multiple tendrils, Rue wonders if the creature's immobility is its weakness. He lands firmly, his gloved hand and booted foot digging into the dungeon floor. Deciding to test his theory, Rue lunges forward, sword glinting, proclaiming, "I'll give it a try." His blade pierces the monster's gaping maw, and a hopeful smile touches Rue's lips as he thinks, "Looks like it's working." Suddenly, Rue's expression shifts to one of shock and alarm. The monster's sharp teeth clamp down, shattering the sword, while simultaneously a red tendril ensnares Rue's ankle. Suspended upside down, Rue grins defiantly at the card monster, a fiery aura emanating from its hat. The monster slams Rue forcefully into the dungeon floor, the impact echoing with the Japanese sound effect. As Rue coughs from the blow, the despairing young explorer questions why he continues to fight an unbeatable foe. A tendril whips out, ensnaring Rue's neck and yanking him towards the leering card creature. Rue's silver hair obscures his face as dark, jagged lines frame him, signifying a critical moment. Blood trickles from Rue's eye and lip as he resignedly thinks, "So this is how I die." A vision of Nana appears, her hand outstretched, gently saying, "Brother, let's go home." His gloved hand reaches towards Nana's in the ethereal vision, her name a silent thought. The scene shifts to 4 years prior, showing Rue and a younger, hooded Nana standing before a tombstone in a graveyard. A close-up reveals the tombstone of Kasumi Akoma and Enji Akoma, with a wedding photo and text explaining Kasumi died a month ago saving Enji, and Nana's thought that they were a great couple who looked after each other.
In the flashback, Rue reassures Nana, "It's not your fault, Nana," to which she hesitantly replies, "I know, but." Wiping a tear, Nana confesses her fear since Ikoma's death, wondering, "What will I do if my brother dies someday?" Rue gazes at Nana as she continues, "Nana, but I know." With newfound resolve, Nana declares to Rue, "I'll do my best for you, brother, you're my life.
If brother dies, there's no point in my staying alive." She then firmly states, "I know you want to become an explorer, brother, but I won't let that happen as long as I'm alive." Rue listens with a somber, thoughtful expression in his red eyes. Gently patting her head, Rue comforts Nana, "Okay, it won't happen, so don't worry." As she questions, "Don't you hate that?" A kind smile graces Rue's face as he tells her, "It's fine, you're the most important person to me." Suddenly, back in the present, the young explorer, his hair now black, charges forward with a sword, yelling, "UWAA, here I come." He valiantly strikes the King of Spades monster, his blade meeting its toothy maw, while Rue tumbles in the background. Rue, blood dripping from his eye, looks at the young explorer and utters, "You." The dark-haired young explorer, sword still in hand, is violently swatted aside by one of the card monster's red appendages. He is sent hurtling through the air, coughing blood, before crashing forcefully against the cavern wall. The young explorer lies crumpled and bleeding on the dungeon floor, seemingly incapacitated. The card monster's enormous, tooth-filled maw lunges forward, impaling Rue through the chest as he lets out a cry of agony. Caught within the monster's sharp teeth, Rue glares with fiery red eyes, internally vowing, "I can't die till I find the truth behind Nana's death." Blood gushing from his wound, he screams with defiance, "No matter what happens, I won't let anyone get in my way." A close-up on his blood-streaked face reveals his unwavering resolve, his thoughts echoing, "I won't lose, I won't lose." With fierce determination despite his grievous injury, Rue internally declares, "I won't die, not in a place like this." He grits his teeth, still impaled, and with a surge of power, thinks, "I will defeat Nana's enemy." With a violent spurt of blood, Rue is brutally impaled through the chest by the monster's attack. The force of the blow sends him crashing downwards, his body contorting in agony. Lying on the dungeon floor, blood trickles from his mouth as he gasps for breath. The card monster, its massive masterly gape, begins to glitch and dissolve into red and black pixels. Rue, wounded and leaning against the cavern wall, watches as the monstrous entity dissipates into nothingness.
His red eyes, though bloodied, hold a spark of inquiry as he wonders, "Did I get it? Did I bite through to its core?" He coughs weakly, fresh blood appearing, the aftermath of the desperate struggle evident. A faint, bittersweet smile touches his lips as he lies back, thinking, "It's a draw, sorry Nana." Suddenly, his eyes widen and surprise a shimmering green. Cross-shaped particles begin to envelop him. A glowing blue holographic interface materializes before him, prompting a bewildered Rue to ask, "What is this?" Rue gazes at the glowing blue holographic panel displaying unfamiliar, swirling symbols. His eyes widen in astonishment as the interface clarifies he has obtained Hyperheal Low Spec. Single-use passive healing special item automatically used. He reaches out a gloved hand towards the luminous blue screen displaying the obtained Hyperheal Low Spec message. The blue interface then shifts, announcing skill obtained, extra use against a digital background. Later, lying on his bed, Rue contemplates the floating interface, musing that he found the skill in the dungeon and still doesn't understand its function. Unlike the clear Hyperheal notification, sitting up with a slightly self-deprecating smile, he thinks about his weakness and continued reliance on miracles. His phone displaying an incoming call from Koji-san is held to his ear as he confirms, "Hello, okay, got it, I'm heading out now." Koji with a cheerful grin and a raised, slightly bloodied hand calls out, "Rue, over here." Approaching Koji and other explorers near a swirling dungeon portal, Rue is told, "Sorry to keep you waiting," and invited to sit as they aren't ready yet. Koji inquires if Rue's injuries are okay, to which Rue, now seated beside him, responds they're better and will be totally healed in a few days thanks to Hyperheal. Koji explains that most people in dungeons are somewhat useless and one needs a reliable, fixed team to be a combat explorer, but all the famous ones already have parties. Rue looks on thoughtfully as Koji is interrupted by a call for the rare support to begin their work. The group of explorers, including Rue and Koji, approaches the swirling blue dungeon portal, with Koji suggesting they talk later and focus on the job first. Inside, they find a vibrant, fantastical forest of giant, colorful mushrooms, prompting Koji to exclaim, "This is," as Rue asks if something is wrong. Koji elaborates that this is a resource-rich dungeon with a relatively low-risk boss, but it's not good to hang around in the back. As he wipes his brow, a young explorer excitedly holds up a purple mushroom, exclaiming, "It's a Shundake lucky," while Rue and Koji observe. Koji, watching another explorer diligently mining, comments with a sigh that while not life-threatening, collecting these items is a pain. Koji tells Rue that if he'd known, he wouldn't have called him, but Rue replies he doesn't mind and can learn more, leading Koji to say not everything is a hassle and to follow him. Sunlight filters through the canopy of a large, sparkling tree in the magical dungeon forest. Rue holds a peculiar red, bird-shaped object, noting, "There's a lot of strange stuff here," as Koji, looking over his shoulder, states they can't use that. A female combat explorer informs Koji they've defeated the enemy, asking his support team to clean up while her group gathers food, and Koji agrees. Rue, still holding the strange red bird-like item, suggests to Koji, "Let's go inside." As they venture further into the luminous mushroom forest, the red bird-like object in Rue's gloved hand emits a faint red glow,
and he looks at his hand with a slight, curious smile. Ru gazes with a puzzled expression at a cluster of unusual, cat-eared mushrooms in various colors, a red one glowing brightly before him. As Kuji urges him to move, Ru looks back, internally wondering, when did I drop this? Noticing the red bird-like item now lying on the ground, a massive, dark-skinned monster, his body covered in glowing red mushrooms, lets out a roar as it's impacted by a powerful, unseen attack. The female explorer states she will tend to the injured, and requests Kuji's team to handle the cleanup, to which they respond, leave it to us.
20 minutes later, the defeated, mushroom-covered monster lies inert on the forest floor as Ru, Kuji, and another support member gather items into boxes. Holding a carrot-like plant, Ru reflects that the dungeon's environment determines its resources, contrasting this plant-filled area with the previous mineral-rich one. Carrying a box laden with the red bird-shaped items, Ru asks Kuji if it's time to return, and if they've collected enough, to which Kuji confirms, yes, more than enough.
As Ru walks, he suddenly stumbles over an unseen object, his box of collected items flying. He tumbles forward, the red bird-like object scattering from the dropped container. His gloved hand makes contact with the defeated monster's hide, a blue digital effect briefly appearing.
Kuji and another explorer look on in surprise as a dark tendril or root whips past where Ru fell. Ru, now on the ground, looks up with a startled and slightly alarmed expression, a bead of sweat on his face. Kuji, looking perplexed, questions how the monster disappeared when there was still a minute left on some timer.
While his companion looks equally confused, Ru, now standing in compose, suggests they should get out of there, with Kuji and the other explorer in the background. Near the dungeon exit, Ru tells Kuji he has something to do and will go back first, while Kuji assures him he'll transfer the reward once it's paid. The scene transitions to a bright, sunny day, showing the exterior of a modern apartment building. Inside, Ru looks at a glowing blue holographic interface displaying obtained flexible mycelium X2 and one unread message. Ru, interacting with the blue holographic interface, wonders aloud if this implies there was no time to investigate. The interface updates to show obtained flexible mycelium X2 and obtain unusable mycelium X1, prompting a chibi Ru to exclaim that the mushroom decomposed it. He realizes that since monster corpses and black grants are worthless, his extra use skill can break down junk and transform it into items. Clenching his fist with a determined look, Ru considers that with luck, he might even acquire a skill, and if he uses this ability correctly, he can succeed on his own. A close-up highlights Ru's wide and tense red eyes reflecting his newfound understanding. Standing in his apartment, Ru contemplates the floating interface, acknowledging his lack of strength for self-protection and the risk of being exploited. If others discover his ability, he sits thoughtfully on his couch, hand to his chin, pondering his next move as the interface hovers nearby, gazing at the skills obtained. Extra used notification. Ru concedes he isn't strong enough for solo dungeon runs but figures staying in the rear guard offers more chances to touch monster corpses. Leaning back with crossed arms, he considers the risk of getting caught if he uses the skill, concluding he must be discreet, though it won't always be simple. A sudden idea strikes Ru, a light bulb appearing beside his head, as he thinks he can try a specific plan, though it might inconvenience Kuji. A chibi Ru with a determined expression decides he'll go for it and use his skill to slowly pay Kuji-san back. The scene shifts to the grand exterior of an opulent, multi-story building under a bright sky. Inside, a young man with a bandaged head and arm peers thoughtfully through a large window. The injured young man, now in bed, looks up as a well-dressed man, presumably his brother, stands before him and asks, what? His brother questions why he argued with their father and why he went to the dungeon, but the injured man retorts that it's his life and has nothing to do with him. The well-dressed brother, with a somewhat understanding look, says he sees and will respect his decision if he wants to risk his life and do whatever. He then advises that if his younger brother still cares about their family, he should cherish his life, reminding him that being an explorer isn't the only thing in life. As the older brother turns to depart, the injured young man calls out, wait. The younger man, his face shadowed and showing distress, begins to speak. Brother, with a sudden burst of fierce determination in his eyes, he declares, want to leave the Kazami family. Ru diligently performs leg raises on a pull-up bar in a sunlit park, continuing his physical conditioning. He internally strategizes that to disassemble more monsters, he requires Kuji's cooperation on to specific matters. The first necessity is for Kuji to help him create several fake identities, allowing him to switch between them and thus reduce personal risk if a plan goes awry. His second requirement involves Kuji purchasing a dungeon, noting that even a D-rank forest offers more resources than a C-rank desert, as item yields depend on the dungeon's environment. It's explained that some explorers indeed sell dungeons, though using an untrustworthy buyer can lead to future regrets. Hanging upside down from the bar, Ru considers that he needs a reliable individual with extensive connections, and what he truly desires is.
Suddenly, his red eyes focus intently, a bead of sweat appearing as he seems to notice something unexpected. The young man with black hair and a red tie, Yasukich Kazami, approaches Ru with a bright, friendly demeanor while Ru bows respectfully. Ru, having been interrupted mid-exercise, is shown in a dynamic pose as if he just landed or was about to spring into action.
Standing upright, Ru listens as Yasukich Kazami introduces himself and reminds Ru of their previous encounter in a dungeon where Ru had helped him, to which Ru acknowledges his recollection. Yasukich Kazami inquires if Ru needs assistance, then hesitantly asks, see, can I go on adventures with you? Ru appears visibly surprised by the request, letting out a bewildered huh. In a simplified art style, Yasukage earnestly explains his admiration, stating, why you didn't give up even when facing unbeatable enemies, right? I wanna be like you. I'm not strong, but I'll do my best. While Ru listens impassively, Ru, with an intense gaze, suggests to Yasukage, if you came here, it means you looked into me, didn't you? To which the younger man nervously replies he just wanted to see him and meant no offense. Dismissing him, Ru turns away, stating, there's no point in following someone like me with no abilities. Go home. Internally, Ru acknowledges that Yasukage technically helped him too, making them even, but then reflects, but I don't like people who give up so easily like him. As a memory of Yasukage attacking the guard monster flashes, with a sharp glance back, Ru firmly instructs Yasukage, don't follow me, don't come see me again.
As Ru begins to jog off, Yasukage calls out from behind, wait. Yasukage stands resolutely, clenching his fist and declaring, I won't give up. While Ru continues his run in the sun-dappled park.
Later, Ru stands with Kuji before a swirling blue dungeon portal in a desolate landscape. As Kuji explains, I tried various sources, but lately no one's selling dungeons, prompting Ru to ask, why is that? Kuji, lighting a cigarette, reveals that apparently the pattern of dungeon appearances is changing. Information he worked hard to obtain. Ru questions if dungeon appearances aren't supposed to be consistent, to which Kuji replies that nothing never changes and wonders if this new information is good or bad for humanity. With a slightly worried expression, Ru then asks, so then as Kuji looks on, smoking, Yasukage Kazami waves cheerfully from a distance, prompting Kuji to ask Ru who has been following him around for over half a month, questioning if it's a stalker. Achibi Ru, looking flustered, explains he was at a party with Yasukage, who has been following him since, while Achibi Kuji remarks, popular, huh? Ru turns to Yasukage, asking what his real goal is, stating that saying he wants to adventure together won't work forever. Yasukage, looking flustered, insists it's not a lie and he really wants to go with Ru because he's strong. While Ru internally questions, me, strong, Ru, with a serious expression, asks if Yasukage is serious, reminding him he's just a rare scout, telling Yasukage to stop wasting his time. Ru asserts he's not an ordinary person and surely has plenty of people to hang out with, but Yasukage insists he's serious, having seen many strong people but never anyone charged at an enemy with full force in a hopeless situation like Ru did. Yasukage passionately declares, I want to become someone like you. Yasukage explains to a bewildered Ru that due to his personality and abilities, he's constantly compared to his older brother, a situation he despises. Ru, a bead of sweat on his temple, thoughtfully inquires, your older brother? As Yasukage looks on, a sudden realization dawns on Ru, his red eyes widening as he internally questions, wait a second. Don't tell me his brother is. A cheerful flashback depicts a chibi Nana enthusiastically presenting a photograph, exclaiming, look. It's a photo of 7 stars, cool, right? Continuing the memory, Ru, in an apron, examines the picture Nana hands him, asking 7 stars, while she explains Fiscal insisted on the group photo. In the present, Ru, recalling the man from Nana's photo, asks Yasukage directly, your brother, is he Shunsha Kazami? Yasukage affirms, that's right. As an astonished Ru processes this, a subtle energy effect behind him, Ru internally reflects, I heard that guy had a younger brother, but I didn't think it was him. As a mental image of Shunsha in Yasukage appears, a close-up on Ru's contemplative red eyes reveals his thoughts. Their personalities are totally opposite. What kind of education does the Kazami family give? Ru tells Yasukage he'd prefer to grant his wish, but desires a peaceful life, and doesn't accept younger brothers or partners needing assistance, causing Yasukage to look downcast and begin. But Kuji, standing before the dungeon portal, calls out, Ru, work, to which Ru, with Yasukage beside him, replies, yeah. Ru glances back at Yasukage, saying, see you. As the younger man watches with a slightly troubled expression, inside the dungeon, Ru and 3 other explorers gaze up at a massive, defeated, crystal-encrusted octopus-like monster, one complaining about harvesting it and another mentioning his daughter's birthday.
One of the older explorers tells Ru it doesn't seem like there's anything noteworthy, and that Ru can head back first, offering to take care of the rest. Ru agrees, and the explorer promises to treat him to a meal next time as he and the other to depart, leaving Ru alone. Kneeling before the colossal monster corpse, Ru touches its tentacle, remarking that last time all they got were common materials and he's counting on this one. As Ru's gloved hand makes contact, a blue digital effect emanates from the monster, and a notification appears, acquired, dried octopus tentacle X3 and acquired, octopus skin damaged X1, a new blue holographic panel materializes before a surprise Ru, displaying acquired bronze body X1 and a note, the skill can increase physical durability.
Ru looks at the interface with a slight smile, a text bubble explaining that if he trains with it combined with defense hearts, his physical durability will increase significantly. Suddenly Ru's eyes widen in alarm, a bead of sweat appearing as he senses something, wondering, what's going on? As a boot steps into the frame from above, the older explorer, who had apparently returned, questions why there are no monster corpses when it's not yet time for them to disappear. He glares intensely at Ru, a bead of sweat on Ru's temple, and demands to know what Ru did. Ru, turning away with his sword sheathed, feigns confusion, asking if the corpse hadn't already vanished. The explorer, showing his watch, angrily asks if Ru is mocking him, stating he was timing it. Ru, with a troubled expression, internally questions what excuse he could offer for a monster vanishing early, and doubts the explorer would believe him anyway. He inwardly concludes that even if he explained, the explorer wouldn't be satisfied. Ru, feigning a smile and holding up his hand, claims he just arrived and doesn't know what's happening, suggesting they leave as the dungeon is about to close. The furious explorer, shouting if Ru is messing with him, slashes Ru across the chest with a dagger, drawing blood. Towering over the fallen Ru, the explorer, dagger still in hand, exclaims that he saw the monster die with his own eyes 10 minutes ago. With a menacing look, he tells Ru this is his last chance, asking if he's still not going to talk. Ru, clutching his bleeding chest where the explorer stabbed him, glares up as the man curses him, "You bastard." With a swift movement, Ru's gloved fist connects powerfully with the aggressive explorer's face. Now standing over the fallen explorer, Ru has driven his sword into the ground beside the man's head, blood splattering around the blade. The bloodied sword with its distinctive red gem in the hilt, gleams ominously in the dim dungeon light. Ru, his red eyes cold and his expression unyielding, tells the defeated explorer, "I gave you the chance to turn back." The terrified explorer lies on the ground, a boot pressing near his head, his eyes wide with fear and sweat beating on his face. As Ru walks away into the darkness, the explorer on the floor wonders if the rumor about him was true. Back in a modern bathroom, Ru vigorously washes blood from his hands under a running faucet. He stands over the sink in the tiled bathroom, continuing to cleanse his hands, catching his reflection in the mirror. Ru sees his own blood-streaked face and is visibly startled by the sight. His blood-splattered reflection stares back, the word murderer echoing in his mind. The mirror's surface fractures, distorting his intense, almost unhinged visage. With a sudden surge of emotion, Ru's fist smashes into the mirror, shattering the glass. Looking down at the broken shards, he quietly acknowledges, "A murderer, huh?" As bloody water swirls down a drain, a thought surfaces, in a world where it's unclear whether the law even functions. Murder isn't anything unusual. Wiping crimson from his hand with a cloth, Ru states firmly, "Killing is still killing. I won't make excuses." His boot rests near a bucket as he continues, but, reaching out with fierce determination, Ru declares, "I won't let anyone get in my way." 1 month later, Ru emerges from a luminous blue dungeon portal, pushing a cart laden with glowing crystals while other explorers observe. A fellow explorer waves, calling out, "Ru, took you long enough. I thought you got trapped in there." To which Ru calmly replies, "I twisted my ankle a bit, so it took some time." The explorer in blue overalls jokes that they'd be in trouble if Ru got hurt, and asks him to hand over the collected items to the explorer. Ru, with a gentle smile, replies, "Yeah," adding that he's in the tent. As Ru walks away with the cart of crystals, one explorer questions letting Big Bro go alone, but another reassures a newcomer that Ru is a good guy who'll do anything asked. The muscular explorer angrily tells his colleague to stop messing with Ru, stating Ru is honest, would never embezzle, and people fight for the chance to work with him, adding that even Buddha only forgives 3 times. The chastised explorer retorts there's no way Ru would get angry, then mentions hearing Ru is Shining Light's older brother, to which his companion reacts with disbelief. They reason that if the rumor were true, Ru wouldn't be working in such a dump for chump change, and one wonders if something happened to Shining Light since her name hasn't been heard recently. Later, Ru walks along a sunlit street, carrying a grocery bag. He lets out a weary sigh, a bead of sweat on his temple, as he continues on his way. Ru, without turning, asks aloud how long his follower plans to trail him, while Yasukuchi Kazami, attempting to hide behind a sign, internally insists he's perfectly hidden and Ru must be talking to someone else. Ru then turns, placing a hand on Yasukuchi Kazami's shoulder, and directly states, "I'm talking to you." Yasukuchi lets out a startled cry, "Awa," clearly surprised at being discovered. A chibi Ru looks on as Yasukuchi crouches, commenting internally, "For such a coward, you sure know how to stalk people." Ru, with a hand on his hip, asks Yasukuchi, "You call that hiding? Can you just stop already?" While Yasukuchi stammers, "How did you know?" Yasukuchi pleads, "Just once, just give me one chance," as Ru wants. "This is a warning, if you keep following me, I won't hold back," and Yasukuchi internally despairs, "My heart's getting tired too, maybe I should just give up and go home." As Ru walks away, groceries in hand, Yasukuchi turns with a surprised expression, a small exclamation mark above his head. Yasukuchi follows Ru down the street, stating, "Lately, I realized I'm actually kinda useful." Ru, glancing back, asks, "What can you even do?" and internally adds honestly, "I don't see any value in you," to which Yasukuchi offers, "I can sell items on your behalf." Ru, his red eyes narrowed and hand near an elevator button, confronts Yasukuchi. You looked into it, didn't you?" Yasukuchi, flustered and waving his hands defensively, exclaims, "I was just by chance, I happened to notice you were selling something." Yasukuchi, regaining some composure, explains to Ru, "I've got connections, and I won't pry more than I have to. I'll definitely be useful to you." Ru internally weighs Yasukuchi's offer, acknowledging his lack of strength but recognizing his potential value and considering that partnering might prevent future complications from selling items alone. Just as Ru begins to address Yasukuchi with "you," a sudden loud noise startles both of them. Ru and Yasukuchi sprint away from the disturbance with Ru, groceries still in hand, questioning why an explosion would occur in a supposed safe zone. They both look upwards towards a nearby building, where 2 figures stand silhouetted against the sky amidst rising smoke. Yasuko stares in disbelief at one of the figures on the rooftop, a man in a coat, and exclaims, "Brother." The second figure, cloaked in a white, cat-eared hood and wearing a mask, leaps from the rooftop towards Yasuka's brother. The masked individual, smirking, identifies Yasuka's brother as 7 stars, divine right, and expresses surprise at encountering such a significant target. Yasuka's brother unleashes a potent blue energy attack against the descending masked assailant. The masked figure, struck by the blast, appears momentarily taken aback, a silent reaction hanging in the air. Recovering quickly, the masked individual taunts Yasuka's brother, suggesting a conversation and questioning if he isn't curious about their identity and motives. Yasuka's brother, with his eyes closed, contemplates the masked figure's taunts, musing, all of that. The masked assailant, with a playful glint in their eyes, dismisses his curiosity, stating, "Doesn't matter to me. I'm just a flashy villain making a dramatic entrance. Since I've gone through the trouble of earning my way here, you might as well cooperate." As Yasuka's brother listens, summoning a formidable blue energy sword, Yasuka's brother sternly agrees, "Fine by me. I'll cooperate, but if I don't like your answer, I'll kill you." As Yasuka's brother brandishes his crackling blue blade, the masked individual internally acknowledges, as expected of divine right, "So ruthless." The hooded figure, conjuring a swirling red energy orb, replies with a hint of amusement, "That's harsh. I mean, sure, I'm the villain, but I guess we got to do this, huh? Divine right." Yasuka's brother leaps into action, his radiant blue sword clashing against his opponent's defense. His adversary hurls a spinning red energy disc, which Yasuka's brother skillfully bats away with his glowing blade. A significant detonation occurs between them, sending the masked attacker reeling backward. The cat-eared antagonist, seemingly unfazed and smirking, remarks on the power displayed, "How scary, as expected of divine right, so ruthless." While eyeing the blue sword, Yasuka's brother presses his assault, his azure weapon descending rapidly as the masked fighter raises their own to meet the blow. Yasuka's brother deftly shatters the masked assailant's red energy weapon with his gloved hand, his own blue sword still poised as his foe recoils. The masked individual, a smirk playing on their lips, observes, "Dual blades, huh? New info acquired, lucky me." Now wielding 2 crackling blue energy swords, Yasuka's brother coolly inquires, "Is that so? Good for you." His opponent, radiating in almost manic excitement, chuckles, "What should I do? I'm getting hyped up." The 2 combatants engage in a fierce aerial clash above the building. Their movements a blur of energy, as Ru and Yasuka's watch from the street below. Yasuka's, overcome with panic, attempts to dash towards the conflict, but Ru, looking startled, quickly intervenes. Ru grips Yasuka's shoulder firmly, demanding, "What are you planning?" While Yasuka desperately pleads, "Let go. I have to go help my brother." With a serious gaze, Ru counters, "And then what? Even if you bravely rush in, you'll just get killed." Ru then advises the distraught Yasuka, "If you truly care about your brother, you should prioritize your own safety." Looking up at the intense battle, Ru, a bead of sweat on his temple, wonders, to go toe-to-toe with 7 stars' strongest leader, Shunshin Kazami. Who the hell is that guy in the white robe? Ru's hand holds up a phone, capturing a photo of the white-robed, cat-eared figure leaping in the background. Ru, phone still raised, tells a distressed Yasuka that staying hidden is smarter. But Yasuka questions, just watching. As Ru walks away, groceries in hand, he states he's going to do what he can. While Yasuka asks where he's going, Ru approaches a door in a hallway, with Yasuka following closely behind. Turning at the doorway, Ru tells Yasuka he'll think about his proposal, and contact him later. As Yasuka looks surprised, Yasuka, with a bead of sweat, exclaims, "Wait a second." As Ru is about to enter, Yasuka reaches for the door handle just as Ru closes it, a sound effect indicating the door shutting. A digested, chibi Yasuka sits on the floor, tearfully saying, "Ouch, I thought I'd get in too." Inside his apartment, Ru sits at his computer, which displays an image of the masked assailant and a loading bar at 50%. The loading bar on Ru's computer screen reaches 100%, indicating the completion of some process.
Ru's computer screen displays the ongoing battle between the white-robed, cat-eared figure, and Yasuka's brother, Shunshin Kazami. He gazes intently at the monitor, his red eyes focused on the details of the fight. Suddenly, Ru notices a small, familiar cat-like emblem on the masked assailant's clothing, exclaiming, "This is," as an exclamation mark appears above his head.
On the phone, he asks his contact, "Hello, check out the Mark 1 just sent you." 30 minutes later, Ru's phone vibrates on the desk, indicating an incoming call. Answering it, Ru immediately inquires, "Did you find anything?" While the voice on the other end retorts, "I wouldn't be calling if I didn't." A chibi version of Ru impatiently urges, "Just get to the point already." As the contact reveals, that's a rank explorer Kamuriamon. The design is based on his pet cat, but the contact delivers grim news. He was confirmed dead last August, prompting Ru to question, "Dead? You're saying dead, not fallen in the line of duty?" His informant elaborates, "Exactly, he wasn't killed in the dungeon. He died near the entrance to an unranked dungeon. Apparently, the body was in a horrifying state, but the culprit still hasn't been identified," as an image shows Kimuri's bloody corpse. The person on the line then asks Ru, "Where did you see that crest?" While Ru, looking at his screen, wonders, "Why are you asking something like that?" The contact on the phone, depicted as a cat in a suit on a digital interface, warns Rue that if he's not mistaken, the mark signifies a plunderer, and advises him to stay far away if he spots such a symbol. Standing by his window, Rue questions the meaning of spoils of war, while the person on the line asks if he genuinely doesn't understand or is feigning ignorance. A close-up focuses on Rue's slippered foot, subtly shifting as he stands near the sunlit window. While observing the distant aerial battle, Rue asks his contact if the masked assailant managed to escape. With a serious expression, Rue inquires if they have any leads on the individuals involved. As his contact explains the symbol represents victory. The blue-haired man on the other end of the call, lounging casually, suggests Rue ask nicely for the information he seeks. A chibi version of the blue-haired contact, still on the phone, waits with a smug expression for Rue's polite request. The contact disdainfully explains that stealing someone's crest as a trophy is a lame practice, attributing it to a group known as Cruz. He further reveals that the masked man in the footage is even more enigmatic than Cruz's leader, referred to only as Zed, with no other details available. A red-haired woman, seemingly with the blue-haired contact, expresses her surprise, questioning, Cruz, that weird organization. The blue-haired contact, holding his phone, inquires of Rue, you've heard of them? Rue's gloved hand is shown holding his phone as he responds, Nana mentioned them once. His contact elaborates that Cruz is an international organization with a complex structure, noting their erratic nature but strong internal cohesion. Rue's phone, displaying his name and the call timer, rests on a surface as he silently processes the information. With a concerned expression, the contact strongly advises Rue against investigating them, pointing out he no longer has someone like Nana to protect him. Rue, speaking into his phone, presses his contact, how much do you know, and firmly adds, don't lie to me. The informant reveals that news about Nana has already circulated within certain groups, and will probably become public knowledge soon, leading Rue to question the source. A gloved hand places a sleek black and gold business card bearing the name Daisy beside Rue's phone. The contact clarifies that information originated from the Daisy Trading Company, assuring Rue they deal in information, but aren't disreputable enough for that kind of intel, and he persuaded the chairman to share details after hearing whispers. Rue acknowledges with a got it, then requests his contact to continue gathering intelligence on the trophy collector, emphasizing caution, while the contact queries Rue about his next course of action. Rue, on the phone, mentions moving if word about Nana spreads, while his contact notes his surprising calmness. His phone displays a smiling Nana as Rue explains he began preparing when he suspected Kuji might have leaked Nana's death, admitting he didn't expect the association to cover it up so thoroughly. Gazing at a photo frame, Rue expresses relief that his contact wasn't used as bait for profit. The scene shifts to a training hall where a dummy lands a powerful blow on Rue. He ducks under a punch from one training dummy as another delivers a strike from behind. Rue skillfully maneuvers, evading the attacks of multiple training dummies. The training dummies converge, their gloved fist about to strike Rue, who anticipates the impact. Charlie enters the training area, clapping and remarking to Rue, not bad, you're sharper than before. Rue credits his improvement to Charlie's coaching, but the instructor humbly states he didn't teach him much. Charlie adds with a slight smile that Rue has only been there a few times anyway as Rue listens. Charlie observes that normally, someone with Rue's physique, no matter how talented, couldn't handle the training bot so quickly, noting the system enhancements seem obvious. With a reassuring expression, Charlie states he won't ask what happened because it'd be nosy, but he is curious why Rue came today. Rue remains silent, his red eyes narrowed, as Charlie tells him not to say it's for training, asserting he's not that stupid. Charlie reminds Rue he told him before to listen, then reveals the topic is about Kazami-san, who nearly turned into a disaster. Gesturing towards a raised platform, Charlie invites Rue, come on, sit. Against a backdrop of a fiery, smoke-filled sky, Charlie explains that Kazami nearly wrecked the entire city of Meiko. Rue, now seated beside Charlie, looks surprised as Charlie remarks that Kazami seems cool-headed, but when he snaps, it's all over, adding that the fight with White Robe was nothing. As Charlie lights a cigarette, he elaborates that White Robe was strong, the only one to ever push Kazami that far. But the real question is how he provoked Kazami to the verge of losing control. Both men gaze out a large window at the sunset, as Charlie mentions Rue probably heard from Shining Light
that Kazami is the strongest of the 7 stars, but that's assuming he's unrestrained. Charlie, smoking his cigarette, reveals the truth is Kazami's the only 7-star with a limiter. Explaining that if he goes all out, he turns into a mass murder machine. To which Rue thoughtfully replies, makes sense. Charlie explained that while records showed Nana was the strongest, when the 7 stars ranks were based on power, it was also said that Kazami was the true strongest. Rue, depicted in a chibi style, questioned why Charlie was sharing this, to which Charlie, also chibi, retorted if this wasn't what Rue came to hear, and Rue simply replied, no.
With a serious expression, Charlie, holding his cigarette, then asked if Rue's true inquiry was about White Robe. Are you, his red eyes intense, confirmed he wanted to know White Robe's identity, prompting Charlie to state he could tell him, but needed a good reason. Ryu declared that Nana didn't die merely from a dungeon run, and that the association must have known that long ago, asking if that was reason enough. To which Charlie affirmed. Charlie then admitted he was planning to use Rue's bait to lure White Robe out, questioning why Ryu wouldn't just back off as Ryu began to address him. Ryu accused Charlie of deliberately scheming to keep him uninformed. To which Charlie remained silent, his expression unreadable. Charlie offered to disclose the information, but warned Ryu that once he stepped in, there would be no turning back, and that this path with a high chance of death went against shining lights. Before asking if Ryu still wanted to know, he revealed that White Robe is a member of a brand new, completely unknown group called Saints. And furthermore, the 7 stars are now forced to choose a new member, visibly startling Ryu, as Charlie